Day 12. Recession-proof your finances in 30 days. Y'all, it's Friday. We're listening to this because I need the energy. I'm wiped, and I know you are too. It has been a grind. Oh man, we've got a couple tough months ahead of us today. We are digging in deep to understand what you can do strategically about paying bills. We're going to hit 3 different categories today. People who are very stable right now, people who have no stability, and people right on the edge of going either way. That's what we're doing. Oh, Mr. Kinetic is my DJ as always. Man, it's funny how you gotta listen to music at times to get yourself through what we're dealing with. I find myself listening to black gospel music and all sorts of things I don't normally consume. You just gotta refill your soul. Depending on what order you're reading your news and what you see, your mood just goes like this. It's crazy. Been feeling pretty good the last couple days, but I'll tell you, I woke up this morning, I read articles in the wrong order. I got sideways quick. You got to watch out for that, don't we? I'm Peter Dunn, Pete the Planner, CEO of Hey Money and Your Money Line, 2 financial organizations which just solve financial problems. What we're doing in this 30 days is what our entire organization does for hundreds of thousands of people across the country every day, and we're very grateful for that opportunity. If you're just joining us here for the first time, wow, weird time to start day 12. I mean, I'd start at day 1, but you do you, baby. You do you. Here's the goal of the program. 3 things. Number 1, we want to cut at least $500 a month off of your spending. And I think as you're going to see very quickly, we need to cut more than that. Number 2, we're going to press reset. If you've ever felt like your financial life was just put upon you and you're just living someone else's directives, we're going to use this opportunity, this really hard period, to change your financial life. Here's the fact of the matter. I don't think we've shared this idea with you yet. If you can make changes in what will be the hardest moment of your financial life, these changes will stick. Sometimes it is harder to make changes when things are going well. It just is. It's one of those strange laws of how we deal with money. But if you can make this work when it's hard, your changes will stick. I promise you that. Finally, we got to stop guessing. Sometimes what makes us vulnerable to more financial chaos is our lack of awareness in our financial lives. What you're going through right now is not your fault. And even if you aren't prepared for some of what is to come, also, I'm going to give you some grace here. Yeah, to have some savings would be more helpful, but we're all going through it. People that have an emergency fund, that have income, will in this period having lost some money. And it's okay. I'm so sorry you're going through this right now. I'm so sorry everyone's going through this. I'm getting emails from friends and texts just like you are, giving us updates on the status of their employment and their job and their businesses and their health. As you know, on this show, we talk about 2 of the 3 problems that our world is facing right now. The virus is a very big issue, which I have no expertise on. Listen to scientists. Number 2, we deal with understanding the market and how that impacts what is going to happen next. And finally, the economy. Let's give you a couple updates on the 2 things we do talk about here. The market's a weird thing. You know, the 3 up days in a row leading to today, which looks like it's not going to be so great in the market. I bring this up not so you focus on the market, not so you get distracted by the market, but just to understand that the market still feels some level of uncertainty. There are some professionals that think that we found the bottom. Here's what that means if you don't know what that means. It means it's gone as low as it's going to go. I don't really spend any of my time reflecting on those sorts of ideas. It's an interesting take to hear experts say that. I'll just say this. I still feel like there's some uncertainty in what's going to happen in our economy, and I think the market feels that way too. I still urge you to not touch your investments right now if you've got years and 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 years until you retire. I am 42 American years old. My hairline is deceiving. I'm not touching any of my investments. And since I have some level of stability, as we'll talk about here in a few minutes, I plan on continuing to invest and possibly even increasing percentages a little bit as well. Now, let's talk about the economy. The stimulus bill has passed the House as of this stream here right now. It just needs to be signed by the President of the United States. and money can start to flow into the American people's hands. Here's a thing I want to highlight for you that we haven't talked about yet. One part of the stimulus bill, which I find to be very attractive and very helpful for a lot of people who are struggling potentially with income and job loss, is the mortgage provision. The mortgage provision says that a person with an FHA loan, which is a federally backed loan, same can be said for a Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae loan, as well as a VA loan. If you have one of those types of loans, as opposed to a conventional loan, is what I happen to have, if you have one of those other types of loan, a federally backed loan, you may seek forbearance. You won't have to pay your mortgage for a period of up to 12 months. Now, as we will discuss, if you happen to be stable, do not do that. That doesn't make sense. If you lack stability, if you lack everything, income and assets, by God, if you have an FHA mortgage, as soon as this bill gets signed, you need to get over to your mortgage lender and let them know you want to take advantage of that program. It works like this. There will be likely some test or just a discussion, a checkbox. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, where you're going to have to disclose what your hardship is. Upon doing that, you will be granted 6 months, 180 days of forbearance. It means you won't have to make your payment. There are no penalties. It does not hurt your credit score. No interest accrues. It's just you're delaying 6 months. And then at the end of that period, if you're back on your feet and stability has come to us all, oh God, I hope that's the case. I know you can't hope this thing to be fixed. You can't wish away the virus. I mean, you could pray about it, I guess, but you can't wish it away. But if you could, oh, I'd be in the front of the wishing line. I really would. But look, you might get 6 months. If you're back on your feet, great. Then you can start paying your mortgage. It's like nothing happened, other than the term of your mortgage is extended 6 months. Okay. So if you were set to have your mortgage paid off in January of 2035, now it's going to be 6 months later. What's that? July of 2035. That's the difference. If at the end of the initial 180-day period, you still have a level of instability and you'd like to push it off a little bit more, you can have another 180 days. You don't have to use them all, but you can, and that gives you a total of 12 months of forbearance. If you have questions about whether that's a good idea for you, you can always let us know. And no matter what you're dealing with some of these really important, monumental decisions in front of all of us, whether you have stability or not, you can lean on the experts that we have at callheymoney.com. It's what we do all day. I'm giving you very good but general advice on this show. If you want to have someone look at your numbers, look at what you have, your debts and your bills, and help you make better decisions, that's what we do. It's less than $20 a month. That's what we do. Many of you, because of this program, have formed a relationship with someone on our team, one of our experts who are certified financial planners, who are accredited financial counselors, and you even use the offer code CHEESE. Why is that the offer code? Why not? What do you want it to be? COVID-19? That seems a little on the nose. Here's the topic for today. We are getting down to brass tacks, as my dad used to say. I remember when I used to get in trouble when I was a kid. This shouldn't surprise anybody. And I remember one time my dad was yelling at me and he just became this thing. He's like, I'm so mad I could spit tacks. I don't even know what that means. But we're getting down to brass tacks today. And my dad, when he's mad at me, wants to spit tacks. Why he's chewing on tacks? I don't know. And when I bring that up to him, it's almost as though he was spitting tacks. We're getting down to brass tacks today. We are getting very tactical. We're going to have some strategies here. Here are the 3 things we're going to deal with, okay? You have to put yourself in one of the 3 camps. Camp 1, low or no stability. I will define that for you right now. No savings or very little savings, less than a month worth of savings. No or little income, no job. In normal conditions, there aren't a lot of people in that category. There's some, we try to do our best to help those folks, but we're talking percentage point after percentage point after percentage point of people are heading over into that camp right now. So we're going to start there. What bills do you pay? What bills do you defer? So on and so forth. Second camp you may find yourself in. on the edge. You're not exactly unstable, but you don't exactly have stability either. It could go either way, right? If you're in that camp, we're going to give you some advice of what direction to go. And then finally, the stability camp. Look, even people in the stability camp are going to get hurt. And even people in the stability camp are going to find themselves in one of the other two camps as time progresses here. But as it stands now, we're going to give you some advice on what to do if you happen to be in the stability camp. So let's begin with no or low stability. Just so you know, by the way, once unemployment benefits start to flow to you, when this bill is passed, needs to be signed by the president, once benefits start to flow. And by the way, in some states, the governor has waived waiting periods for unemployment benefits. I'm here in just north of Indianapolis, Indiana, and our governor, Governor Eric Holcomb, just waived the waiting period for unemployment benefits. When you have no money, every day, every hour matters. So kudos to the governor, and kudos to governors all around the country who have waived those types of provisions. But if you've got income flowing in the form of unemployment benefits that is close to or at what your previous income was, you actually have some semblance of stability. I would not put you in this category. However, if your unemployment benefits aren't even close to what you used to make, or you've got no unemployment benefits and no income because you're a special case that you didn't qualify, then this first camp is for you. No or low stability. The first thing I want to talk about with you is mortgage payment or rent. What do you do with your largest payment every month if you have no income and no stability? Well, first off, to wait for the stimulus check to come, if you qualify for the stimulus check, which will be here ideally in 3 weeks, means that you would be paying back pay or back rent or back mortgage because your payment is due next week. And those checks don't get here for 3 weeks. If you have a mortgage, specifically an FHA mortgage, as soon as this bill is signed, call your provider, your mortgage provider, your mortgage servicer, and go on forbearance immediately. You may have to wait on hold for a day and a half. I got no idea. I really don't. I have no idea. But do it. It is the most important thing. If you do not have income and you do not have savings and unemployment benefits are not coming your way, and whether stimulus pay comes your way or not, call and get your mortgage on forbearance. If you don't have an FHA mortgage or a federally backed mortgage, if you have a conventional mortgage and this is your situation, call your mortgage provider immediately and let them know what you're dealing with. Some mortgage providers will have some sort of private plan to help you out or to extend you some additional grace, but you have to communicate. One of the big challenges that people are going to be dealing with right now is that they're going to be so scared that they don't want to tell anyone what they're dealing with. Look, I'm giving y'all a shame waiver. You should never feel shame, especially in this situation, but don't let shame prevent you from communicating with people. I really feel like what's going to get us out of this jam when it's all said and done is people being a little bit more human. And part of humanity is communication. Look, I'll admit, when I want service on something, I'll go to a place's website and I'll do the live chat window at the bottom of the screen so I can just type my questions to whoever's answering them. That's not exactly a moment of humanity. It's a moment of, I don't want to be inconvenienced. But if you need to talk to a person, call and explain your situation. Next, debt. If you have debt, I would definitely not pay any more than the minimum. And if you have no income, that's not really a choice. But if you're not going to be able to pay a bill, if you have a debt that you can't pay, car loan, medical bill, credit card payment, personal loan to Aunt Edith, whatever, by God, pick up the phone and let them know. This will be a hard day I'm describing to you right now. I'm suggesting if not today, maybe Monday, you're picking up the phone and you're making all these calls. You may have to make 15 calls and you're saying the same thing every time. I have no income. I have no savings. And I need to let you know what I'm dealing with. You're not calling to negotiate. You're not calling for pity. You don't need pity. You're just letting them know it's the right thing to do and you'll get more bandwidth that way. Next, utilities. From what I understand, most utility providers are not going to shut off your stuff. Okay? They're not going to shut off your stuff if you can't pay. But guess what? You got to call them. I think we're seeing a trend here. You got to call them. I'm already suggesting, honestly, in the first 3 categories here, you're not paying on any of these things. Which brings me to what I believe, if you really have no to low stability, what I believe to be the most important thing in your life right now. And it sounds so dramatic and it sounds alarming, but I think food is the most important thing. I think what's tough about this disaster, especially if you're not medically compromised right now, is that as you look outside your house, a tornado hasn't come through, a hurricane hasn't come through, there's no flood, there's no imminent danger, yet this is survival. There are only a couple resources in our life, pure resources, and money and time are 2 of them from a financial perspective. If you have no money, then it's just you for a long time trying to survive. Food is important. Shelter is important, but shelter cannot be taken away from you as long as you communicate with your landlord or your mortgage company, especially under some of the provisions of what is going on in America today. Now, I think your biggest risk in what we've just talked about is an individual or a small scale landlord. If you can't make a rent payment, and I've already seen it. I mean, my email's filled up with horror stories of people not being able to pay rent and landlords firing off legal notices and threatening letters and all that other good stuff. That's my concern right now. Okay. So just make sure that you're communicating, you stand up for yourself. If you need to get an attorney general in your state involved to protect your own rights, by all means do. Spend some time on your attorney general's website to understand what your rights are in relation to being a renter in a time like this. And of course, then the other thing is other. What's other? Insurance benefits. Look, if you have barely enough money for food, spending money on cable and internet service and all this other stuff doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense. If you have no or low stability, it is going to be an incredibly hard time until that stimulus check arrives. And if you do get a stimulus check, that money is meant to deal with food and other. I still wouldn't mess with rent, debt, and utilities until you have some semblance of stability. That is not going to make some landlords happy. And I have to say, I've never thought I would deliver that advice. And who cares what my feelings are that I have to deliver unconventional advice. But if you have no to low stability, this is a survival game for you. Next up, let's say you're in the middle. You're on the edge. Now, who would these people be? These would be people who have a job. They don't feel like they're completely immune from job loss. And they don't have much savings. This also might be people that are receiving unemployment benefits who don't have any savings. All right, so this is a little different. Again, same advice for mortgage in the sense that if you have an FHA mortgage, you'll want to go ahead and file for forbearance. If you don't have an FHA mortgage, you have a different type that is not covered, still call and communicate. You're going to communicate on all of these. Food is still the number 1 priority. I would try to keep your debt payments going by making minimum payments. The last thing you need is, ruining your credit through this. I usually don't care too much about credit scores when it's all said and done. But I think if we're trying to rebuild and you're going to need to get to the other side of this, you need to stay current on those debts. But again, you can call those places and talk through it. I would hope most people, best case scenario, honestly, most people are in this boat. Because if you're getting unemployment benefits, especially with that $600 a week enhancement over a 4-month period, this puts you on the edge group. It's not ideal, but it's certainly realistic. Prioritize food and security over everything. I know that's dramatic, but you also, if you're going to do that, if you're going to let some of these bills go, if you're going to stack up future obligations, just understand you got to make really wise food choices. And the other thing you have to understand with these utilities, they're not giving you forgiveness in the sense they're not forgiving the debts. You will start to accumulate an account balance during this time. And so ideally you can keep up with it. If you can't, you can't, but you're going to owe this money. I think that's the tough pill to swallow because this isn't your fault. It's not. but you're still going to have debts accumulate if you're on the edge group. About, I don't know, 10 times a day, I step outside my body and I look down at the situation we're all in, and I just shake my head. I'm like, I cannot believe we're in this situation. And you talking about this right now is one of those times where I'm saying, look, hey, most Americans are going to accumulate utility balances over the next few months. Most are going to have their debt balances grow if their lenders don't provide any level of grace. Most lenders won't give forgiveness, right? Most lenders aren't going to just wipe out your debts. They'll just let your period of which you're not paying stretch on, which can impact you. Ideally, they do forgive the interest during this time frame, but those debts are going to stack up. Finally, let's talk about what to do if you happen to be in the stable camp. And I tell you that I'm in the stable camp just for a couple of very practical reasons. Number one, it's the truth, which I trade in the truth, right? I tend to operate in the realm of the truth. Number two, I just want to tell you what I'm personally going to do. I think if I were to tell you one thing and do a different thing, that would be bad. I'm going to continue to pay my mortgage. In fact, I've even explored refinancing my mortgage. I chose not to for a couple of particular reasons. Number one, I want to stay lean for the sake of my business organization. I employ 16 people, and I want to make sure that as revenue flows and in and out of our business, and as our clients pay us or don't pay us, if that becomes a thing, I want to make sure that I'm lean enough that I don't increase my mortgage payment a little bit in order to take advantage of interest rates. And also, honestly, I don't want an inspector coming to our house right now, because when you refinance a mortgage, you have to have your home inspected. I don't want anyone else in here. I just want me and my wife and my two weirdos. That's it. How about debt? Well, I'm going to continue to pay all my debts if I had them. I don't have any debts. But if you have stability and have debts, continue to pay on them. I would pay the regular amount unless you feel like you are not going to have stability soon. And then you can pay the minimum amount. Utilities, of course, I'm going to keep paying my utilities. Food, of course, you're going to keep buying food, but I would take it easy. I find a lot of times that people that have stability spend way too much on food. I recommend you don't do that. And finally, other. What the heck does that mean? I guess it means when my stimulus check comes in, if I were to get one, or when I guess I should say when your stimulus check comes in, when you get one, I would just set that money to the side and be ready to inject it back into the economy when the economy wakes back up. So that's where we're at. That's the game plan. If you have no or low stability, this is about food. If you are on unemployment or you're worried about your employment, you're in the middle camp, and then you can deal with food, utilities, and hopefully even make your mortgage or rent payments and pay minimum payments on your debts. But you still need to be sensitive to subscriptions and memberships and all those other things we talked about. Finally, if you have stability, you're moving forward cautiously. You're looking for opportunity, but it really is business as usual. You don't have to be gross and be like, what stocks can I take advantage of this horrible moment in our time? I'm not saying anyone who tries to invest and work the market is gross, but I also think that it's a little overplayed to say, well, invest in this stock because if everyone gets sick, this company's going to save the day. It's a little much for me. Just being honest. I don't want to do that personally, so I wouldn't recommend it to you. All right, so that's where we're at today, this weekend here on the show. We'll be back Saturday, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, doing the same thing. Try to make it a little lighter on the weekends. Maybe take some questions that we've had. Next week is budget week, right? We got to keep going. The news is going to continue to change the topics of this show as we learn more about the coming days. And so if you need help, I highly recommend go to callheymoney.com. You can use the offer code CHEESE. We're $20 a month. If you have stability, or if you're right on the edge between on the edge and stability, it is worth $20 a month to talk to someone that knows what they're doing to put the plan together for you. The harsh reality is you deal with one financial life. We deal with hundreds of thousands of financial lives. We know what we're doing. We can use that experience to guide you in the right direction. So that's it. I'm shutting it down for the week. I got one more podcast to go today. I'm thankful for my health right now. And I'm thankful for you spending time with me. Go to callheymoney.com. We'd be glad to help you. Be safe. Wash your hands. Social distance. Call your parents. You know, be part of this community. Be part of this community. Be human right now. All right, y'all. Have a good weekend. We'll see you.